All right, so, a loss hurts. Obviously, like any loss hurts, but I guess at least at this point, we know that the Bears are just going to be bad all season. There really is no hope anymore for the Bears. I can't really see a way where we turn this around with the current roster we have, with the current coaching staff, especially that we have, in order for us to have a winning season and kind of turn it around in a similar fashion that the Lions did last year. And like I said, we're not the Lions, so I wouldn't expect it to be anywhere near that. And I'm talking about last year's Lions, not this year's Lions, but even last year's Lions, after starting off 1-6, turned it around. And yeah, it's hard for any team to do that. You can't really expect any team to start off that bad and turn it around. But for us, man, it was a bit different considering the fact that we had such high hopes starting off the season, and it just went down the drain insanely fast. It wasn't like we had a good start or anything. Like week 1, we would have beat the Packers or something. No, we just right away from the moment that we stepped onto the field, from the very first possession almost, it just seemed like nothing would ever go right this season. And that's exactly what's kind of happened. So obviously talking about this game against the Chargers, we lost 30-13 in a game where it wasn't really close. I mean, we did pull it within like 17-7 at some point. And pretty much the rest of the game was just Justin Herbert having all the time in the pocket, as every quarterback can pretty much say this season, not named Sam Howell, against us. But yeah, he had every bit of time in the pocket. Austin Eckler at some point had 100 yards receiving. We only had less than that because they finally were able to stop him at the end, but at some point had 100 yards receiving. And on offense, we really couldn't do much. I mean, it was such a beautiful start, especially for Tyson Bagent, who threw a 41-yard bomb to Mooney, who, by the way, if you look back on that, Mooney did not get touched after he caught the ball. And I'm not sure, and it was pretty obvious too, even watching it live, I was screaming for Mooney to get up and run because I knew for a fact they did not touch him. And for some reason, the referee on the far side of the field called him down, not the referee that was closest to Mooney. He was letting him run, and the other guy just came in and just called it dead, which is really stupid because refs are taught nowadays that if it's close, let them play it out, because at the end of the day, you can always go back and review the play. If they throw the challenge flag or whatever, it's a booth review of some sort, they can always go back and change it. But when you stop it right then and there, you can't change it. So they stopped him after a 41-yard completion, and from there on, 2 straight runs, which set Bagent up for like a 3rd and long, got absolutely destroyed by Joey Bosa, who destroyed Cody Whitehair. Which, by the way, Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick need to be off the team next year after this season. They literally do nothing but just get absolutely ran through, but they just get destroyed on almost every snap, especially Cody Whitehair, man. He's up there in age. He's done. It's not really worth the cap space that we're using to keep him. We need to use that somewhere else. As for Tyson Bagent himself, obviously wasn't dealt the best hand, and especially when Velus Jones, another man that needs to be kicked off this team. I'm done with the Velus Jones experiment, man. He's had so many opportunities to be at least a gadget player, at least something useful in his league. And it seems like every big moment that he has, he just comes up short. Like, you have an opportunity to catch a long touchdown pass, and people want to argue that the pass was, underthrown, but we've seen that time and time again in this league. And honestly, it's just not an excuse anymore. Velus Jones needs to be gone. But yeah, Tyson Bagent had that really long pass that didn't end up anywhere because he dropped it. Thankful enough, he actually led the Bears to a touchdown drive later on that same drive, so we were able to score. But it took time off the clock. Not that it would have really mattered because we just couldn't stop the Chargers at all on defense. There was just so much that went wrong this game, guys, and it kind of just puts the nail in the coffin for our Bears season. Obviously, I had a lot of hope going into this game based off the fact that, we beat the Raiders in such an amazing fashion, and Bagent looked really well. And, I mean, to start off the game, like I said, Bagent actually threw a deep pass, which he did not do at all last game. And he actually took a couple of deep passes this game, which I love to see from the kid. And looking at his tape, there are some things that Bagent, I can already see, does better than Fields, but it doesn't make him better than Fields yet. So, obviously, Fields has the running arm strength, things like that, but Bagent, I believe, has the better pocket presence. In 2.5 games so far, he's only gotten sacked 3 times, where Fields gets sacked on average 3.5 times. If you don't believe me, look up the stats. But, I believe he has better pocket presence and just maybe reads the defense in terms of a short level, intermediate level, just a bit better than Fields, which is a bit alarming if you're Fields, considering you're a first-round pick versus a undrafted free agent rookie who's doing that to him, or who's doing that better than him. But either way, guys, I mean, we just have a terrible team all around. A bad offensive line. I mean, we still have Larry Borom starting at left tackle. Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick do not do favors for anybody. So it's really only the right side of the line where Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright are at. which, by the way, Darnell Wright played amazing also. Didn't give up a single sack, only had 2 pressures against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. But other than that, guys, I mean, there really wasn't much to go off that game other than just the fact that we suck. We suck so bad. And the season's just kind of going down to tank mode at this point for a second straight season, which sucks because, I mean, this is a season that we were supposed to at least progress. You know, maybe the ceiling, the absolute biggest ceiling for the Bears, if Justin Fields, maybe let's say he played the Broncos game and Commanders game like that almost every game, like 90% of the games this season, you're probably looking at a playoff berth, maybe a divisional win, and maybe even a playoff win, maybe on the high end. The floor is, well, we thought was the floor was like maybe 5 wins, and the kind of medium expectations were maybe around that 7 to 9 win range, kind of wild card spot, maybe first round exit type of thing. But that would have been decent progress for a Bears team who went literally dead last in the entire NFL to 7, 8, 9 wins. That'd be at least progress. But instead, we've just gone down the rabbit hole even further. And in some ways, it feels like we're a worse team than last year, even though we have a much better roster on paper than last year. Why does that happen? Well, simple. It's because of coaching. Because coaching is so bad, we just can't do anything with our players. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds doesn't look that great, but I mean, honestly, guys, I mean, there's a lot of players on our team that seem to regress too. I mean, DeMarcus Walker doesn't look that great. Yannick Ngakoue doesn't look that great. Who's a guy who's been one of the most consistent pass rushers in pretty much in NFL history. I mean, I think besides him and 6 other players, I mean, there's only those guys that have gotten 8+ sacks every season being in the league, and Yannick is one of them. And now he's probably on pace for like 4 or 5 sacks this season. So I don't really know what to say anymore when it comes to this team, other than just our coaching is terrible. And at the very least, at this rate, Eberflus will be gone, Luke Getsy will be gone, whoever's on the coaching staff will be gone. And unfortunately for Justin Fields, who is already ruled out, by the way, for next week's game against the Saints, super fast. I don't know when he'll be back anymore. And if that was the case, they should have just put him on short-term IR. But of course, our coaching staff doesn't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, we've reached an all-time low as a Bears fans, guys. So at this point, I don't have much faith anymore in the season, and maybe 2 more wins will pull out of our asses for some reason, and hopefully it doesn't ruin our draft position. Because at this point, you know, I'm just looking forward to next year at this point, because we're gonna be a terrible team this year. Yeah, so let me know how you guys feel, Bears fans. How do you feel about the season? If you're like me, you feel pretty depressed and you feel pretty disappointed. And I don't blame you one bit. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the NFL doesn't blame us one bit, including, especially, you know, since our hopes were so high. But unfortunately, that's just the way things work. The script is working against us yet again this year, and we can never escape it. We just have 2018 to look back on and think about the glory days of when we were a good team and we were a dominant defense, which I will never complain about us having a good defense and no offense if it means that we get to finally stop quarterbacks from passing for 300 yards a game every single time against us. So let me know what you guys think. Bear down and I'm out.